Hey everybody, welcome to Get the Rant with your host Grim. Hope you guys have all had a wonderful week. There's been a lot happening in the world of politics, a lot going on. First, let me say thank you to all of you who have visited gettherant.com. As some of you already know, my TikTok channel was demonetized. And so the attack on free speech has begun, and, people who criticize the Trump administration are being suppressed. And, sometimes, like in my case, we are being demonetized. So I appreciate you guys who have gone to the website and who have left a tip there for me to help support the channel. Definitely appreciate that. Also, I'd like to let you guys know that my mini documentary, Silent Screams, that deals with the mental health institutions of the past in this nation and how it ties into the Trump administration wanting to return to mental institutions, is now available to watch on the website. So go to gettherant.com, click in the video sections, and you will see it there. It's a short mini documentary, runs about 14 minutes, and that is all. Yeah, it's been a busy week in the world of politics, as it always is with this Trump administration. So, of course, you are all aware of the alleged president, Donald Trump, and Pete Hegseth, given their, what the hell do we want to call this? Is their warrior speech, their motivation speech to the generals. That happened this week. And what a shit show that was. I mean, to have the Fox News host, Pete Hegseth, who, just get up on stage and tell these generals that it looks bad on the military to have fat generals and all of this shit. It's unreal. These are people who have dedicated their lives to serving and to protecting the United States of America, who have seen combat, who are just the cream of the crop. And for this DUI hire, Pete Hegseth, to stand in front of them and try to give a pep talk and tell them how they're going to run the military and what he expects out of them and all of these PT things. It's absolutely absurd. It is so goddamn absurd. It's hard to believe that this is the kind of shit that is being allowed to happen in our government now. And he's standing out there and telling women that if they can't meet the men's fitness test, then, well, they'll, so be it. They'll have to go somewhere else, find something else to do. Just the same typical anti-female, anti-DEI policies that this administration just keeps trying to shove down the throats of America. It's that same bullshit that, they try to keep pressing forward with this narrative, but yet at the same time, they try to make it sound like they're not racist, like they're not sexist, but we all know that they are. I mean, it's on display every fucking time that these people get on camera. Their racism, their sexism is on display for the world to see. And then you had Trump. Trying to address these generals, and no response for him either. He got the same cold response that Hegseth got. And it was being reported that some of the generals had to stop taking notes while Trump was speaking because he's so incoherent that they couldn't make sense of their notes. Because we all know how Trump is. He rambles on about nonsense and bullshit, and he stands up there and he tells these generals all of his complaints about Obama and all of his complaints about fucking Biden, and it just never ends. And what he calls the radical left lunatics. And this man is so obviously just triggered by anybody who was more successful than he was. And it's obvious to most of us by now that Trump is definitely slipping. He is definitely suffering from some type of dementia. Something's going on with him. But there he is, following up Pete Hegseth. And while Hegseth's telling him that it's not a good look for fat people to be in the military, here comes the commander-in-chief, the big orange bloated donut himself, who is definitely not the picturesque image of a fit, sturdy male. But who knows? It works for him, I guess. I mean, they overlook the way Trump looks and all of his health conditions, and they try to tell the military that they need to be in shape and they need to be fit because they represent America. And yet we have a president who is clearly overweight, who's clearly obese, who is clearly mentally not capable of doing the job anymore. It's hard not to laugh at this shit. It really is. And you want to laugh and you want to poke fun, but then you realize that this is the man who is taking over this country. Trump, with all of that money that's behind him, not just his own money, but the money that's coming from corporate America going into his pockets. All of these people settling lawsuits with him because they don't want to deal with it, and they're just handing him fucking millions of dollars at a time. And so you have all of this money backing Trump, and he's taking it all, and he's using that money, and he's dismantling this country. And so you want to laugh, but at the same time, he's actually dismantling America. He's actually bringing us to a place of an authoritarian regime. I mean, fuck, we're already there. I don't know if we can keep saying, oh, are we headed that way? Because, goddamn, it's pretty evident that is where we are. Because nobody on the Republican side of the aisle will stand up to this orange tyrant. And sure as hell, the Supreme Court is siding with Trump at every goddamn turn. And so, you have the lower courts that are, they are ruling against Trump. And they're ruling against this administration. But then he just appeals to the Supreme Court. And they overturn everything and vote, and rule in favor of the Orange King. And so right now he's untouchable. Yeah, I mean, it's in a way, it's funny. And you get a good laugh at watching this idiot on TV, this rambling old man screaming at the sky. But at the same time, it's not funny because the people behind him, his administration, all these corporations, these billionaires, these wannabe oligarchs, and people from the Heritage Foundation and the founders of Project 2025, they're getting everything that they want. All they got to do is bring Donald Trump a shiny new little object to play with, and it keeps him distracted, and he doesn't give a shit because he's really not running that show in that White House. People like J.D. Vance, people behind the scenes like Stephen Miller, Peter Thiel, all of these people, Russell Vought, they're the ones that are running the show. They're the ones that are setting the agenda, and Trump is just a goddamn figurehead to it all because he has cult-like following from his supporters. And the Trump supporters have made this whole MAGA movement their personal identity. And once that happens, it's hard to get people to see the evidence with their own eyes, or to be able to hear the shit that Trump is saying, and to get them to recognize how harmful and how dangerous it is to this nation, because their identity is now wrapped up into Trump. And as long as their identity is focused on Trump and that's their whole world, it's hard to get through to these people, to make them see what's really going on. And not only are they attacking freedom of speech in all of these ways, but now Donald Trump has taken to Truth Social and has called on ICE and police officers and the military to arrest U.S. citizens if they are burning a flag. Well, burning the flag is protected free speech and was under the Supreme Court, where here we have a sitting president telling our military to arrest United States citizens on our soil. This has got to be one of the greatest threats that we have seen to our democracy, to this republic, to the Constitution, to everything that we stand for. I guess it's allowed now that the president just sends the military after U.S. citizens? Is this going to be the new norm? Is this what's happening? And I have talked to quite a few of these Trump supporters, and some of them are okay with it. I see lots of people who are cheering this on, who want a dictator, who want Donald Trump just to rule with an iron fist. But let me tell you something. Eventually, Trump is going to run out of enemies, and he's coming for you. Because in order to have an authoritarian regime, you always have to have an enemy. You always have to have somebody to fight. So once they're done rounding up all the Latino people and getting them out of here, then they're going to go after black people. And then once they're done doing that, which they've already started, then they're coming after you, white folk. Because that's the way it's got to be. They always have to have an enemy to be fighting. That's why Trump is always talking about everything that he hates. He never talks about anything that is good about America. He never talks about the people of this country. He always does it in a frame of having an enemy. The radical left, the illegal immigrants. It's an invasion. It's a war zone. Everything is terrible to Trump. And so he creates these enemies. But when they run out of the enemies that they're pursuing now, they're coming for the white folk too. And of course, they'll start with the poor ones. You know they're going to start with the poor white folk, because then it's going to be the poor people who are the fucking problem, according to Trump and the Trump administration. It's the poor people we need to get rid of. Hell, they're already letting the cat out of the bag. Look at Fox News talking about, hey, let's just lethally inject homeless people. Just kill them. That's where we're headed. That kind of talk and behavior is going to become more and more frequent in this country. And it's a disgrace to our founding fathers. It's a disgrace to every soldier who fought for freedom, whether you're talking about the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the World War I, World War II. Take your fucking pick out of all of them. It's a slap in the face. I mean, we have a president who's commanding our military who sat there and said that John McCain isn't a war hero because he got caught. And Trump is, oh, I like people who don't get caught. Do you know how many fucking POWs that we lost in Vietnam? What a slap in the face to everybody who served in that war, everybody who served in the Korean War. He doesn't like people who got caught. Give me a break. This is how he talks about the troops. And yet some of these people think that Trump gives a shit about America or American values or the American citizen or the American soldier. He doesn't care about any of it. All he cares about is his pocket. That's it. That's all he will ever care about. He's a narcissist through and through. The only one who exists in Trump's world is Donald J. Trump. And half of the problem that keeps this continuing, that keeps the support for Trump going, is the religious right, the religious zealots who believe that Trump was saved by God to come rescue America. And they believe that Trump is some kind of godly man because he was selling fucking Bibles with his name on it. This man is as far removed from Jesus Christ as you can possibly get, but yet they don't friggin' see it. And they use this type of speech constantly. This is why Trump is always saying, I love God, God this, God that. Oh, we're not going to let people attack Christianity, because he's just riling up the religious zealots. That's it. The people who want to bring about the Christian Taliban. The Christians, the right-wing evangelicals love this shit because they want to impose their supposed religion on the rest of the country. They want to be able to tell you what you can do. They want to be able to tell you what you can wear, what you can see, what you can watch, what you can fucking read. It's a joke because That's what they do in their church. Why would they not want to bring it to the rest of the country? Because this is what they do every goddamn Sunday. They tell their flock all of this rules that they have to follow if they want to be right with God. And their goal is to bring that into the mainstream, to the forefront in our politics, and make all of us submit to their rule of law. But yet they'll get pissed off when they hear about, oh, Muslims want to bring Sharia law. What's the same fucking thing? Only you're doing it in the name of Jesus instead of the name of Muhammad. This is the way religious fanatics go. And not only do you hear it from Trump all the time, who's always talking about, oh, God and prayer, and we need to make this country religious again, and all this other utter bullshit. You have Stephen Miller, who gave his speech at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. God is on our side. That's a classic line. In fact, Kristi Noem just used it yesterday when she got denied use of a bathroom, and she said, well, God is on our side. What the hell does God have to do with the goddamn bathroom? But you see how these people work. You see, I love the freedom that people have to have religion. I'm okay with religion, even though I don't believe in religion. I think it's a scourge on humanity, but I believe in your right to have your religion, whatever flavor of your religion that it fucking comes in. I'm cool with. You want to go to church on Sunday? I'm cool with that. You want to have Bible studies on Wednesdays? You want to meet at your house? You want to, proselytize to the nations? Whatever. Where I have a problem is when you decide that you're going to take your religion from church, from your house, and you were going to put it into the politics and then expect all of the rest of us to submit to your phony bullshit. I am not on board with that. I would like to rid the world of religion, but not in a violent way. I think there should be a revolution of the mind, of critical thinking. I would like the religious people to actually think themselves out of this bullshit illusion and delusion that they've talked themselves into believing. That's what I want. I want more critical thinkers, more scientific minds, people who think for themselves and don't need to be led around by the fucking nose by some Bible-thumping pastor who's molesting children in his Sunday school class. No thanks. So I support the freedom of religion. Do what you want. Just keep it out of our politics and out of our public schools. Kids have to be able to learn how the real fucking world works. They have to be able to learn about science and evolution and how things actually function in the real fucking world. Keep that Sunday school shit in church where it belongs. So I support your freedom of religion, but I also support people's rights to be free from fucking religion as well. And that's what matters. Freedom and liberty, which is slowly going away under this administration. I shouldn't even say slowly. It's fucking happening really at rapid pace. Rapid fucking pace. I mean, you got to think about it. Trump just took office near the end of January. And we're just now in the beginning of October, and look at what has happened and look what we have become. It's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous to me that the government is shut down now. And they keep saying the Republican line over and over again that Democrats want illegal aliens to get Medicaid, which we know that's not true. They're not eligible for that stuff anyway, but they keep spouting off that lie. And they talk about we need to be good stewards of taxpayers' money. Give me a fucking break with that shit. You cannot be serious that the Republican Party and Trump are talking about being good stewards of taxpayer money. How the hell they can even say that with a straight face is beyond me. It's interesting, though, because somehow Trump finds $20 billion to bail out fucking Argentina while they screw over our farmers here in the United States, right? We have $3.8 billion annually to give to Israel so that they can support their people. They can have socialized medicine for their people, and they can have education for their people. We can't get that fucking here, but we have $3.8 billion a year to give to Israel annually. Yeah, America first, right? We have hundreds, millions of dollars for a fucking ballroom. Somehow we find money for that. We find money for a ballroom. And then old Trump is trying to say, oh, well, it's going to come out of my own pocket. Why is that? Doesn't that sound strange to anybody? That's the people's house. Trump don't plan on leaving that fucking place. Why do you think he's paving over the Rose Garden and making it look like fucking Mar-a-Lago? And now he wants to build the fucking ballroom. You think that he has any intention of leaving that White House in 2028? But they have money for that bullshit. Oh, and they got all of this money to expand ICE, right? Make it the largest police force in America. We have money for that, though. They had money to offer these ridiculous sign-on bonuses of like $50,000 fucking dollars or some bullshit. They have money to build all of these detainment centers now. Suddenly, they have all of this fucking money to do all of this shit. Detention camps, all this kind of horse shit. But they don't have the money to make sure that people have health care in America. They don't have the money to make education affordable for the people of this fucking country. They keep telling us that, oh, we need to bring in all these H-1B visas because we don't have people skilled enough to run all this technical shit. But hey, we don't have money to fucking train them here. Can't send them to fucking college here, right? Because that's, socialism. Because we only give fucking socialism to CEOs, to billionaires, to big-ass corporations. Socialism's okay for them because somehow we found the money to give them, like a $4 trillion fucking tax cut. Yeah, and then not only do these wealthy motherfuckers get all of these tax cuts and these fucking tax breaks, but then they get corporate welfare, fucking subsidies. We need to stop calling it subsidies and call it for what it is. It's fucking welfare for rich folks. They get all of these fucking perks because they're already wealthy. Yet they hoard all of the fucking wealth in this country. The American people, they suffer. They can barely afford their fucking groceries, can barely afford their rent, can't afford health insurance, and those premiums are fucking going up next month. Can't afford that. Can't afford to save for a home. Can't afford to buy a fucking home. Can't afford to rent anymore. Yeah, but we have money for billionaires. Give them some more fucking tax breaks. You know, people like Bezos, they need a couple more yachts. You know, a couple of them's not good enough. You know, $5 million mansions is not enough for these people. They need more. They want it all. That's how fucking greedy they are. They want every goddamn thing. It's a fucking sport to them. They hoard all of the fucking wealth while everybody around them and everything around them fucking dies. And they just sit back and laugh. Because it doesn't affect them. These policies don't affect them. Other than helping them make them fucking richer, but they're not suffering. They don't give a shit about a government shutdown. They don't give a shit what happens to the economy. They have plenty of wealth already hoarded. They can weather the fucking storm. And if it gets too bad here, they can hop on their private fucking jet and they can go to some other country and live out their days. It's disgusting. But Trump finds all of this money for these people. He finds all of this money for his buddies. But he doesn't find a goddamn penny for the average family that's working hard, who can barely make ends meet, who the dad's out working 2 fucking jobs, the mom's got a part-time job, and they're still trying to raise their kids. And they're still fucking broke because everything gets more expensive every fucking day. He can't find a fucking penny for these people, but he can find trillions of fucking dollars for these other assholes who already have the world by the balls. How nice. How special for him. I don't know how the fuck these people sleep at night. Seriously, how do you fucking sleep at night knowing that you could fucking end most of all of these problems, but you don't? You choose fucking not to because they don't fucking care. Trump doesn't fucking care. And that's the other thing that baffles my goddamn mind. how these Republican voters constantly said, "Oh, these politicians are crooked. They're all getting rich while they're in the Senate. They're all getting rich while they're in the House. They're all getting rich while they're president." And they had this, they were irritated with all of these politicians getting goddamn rich. And they know that billionaires don't give a shit about them. They go ahead and they elect one. Elect a fucking billionaire so he can steal more of your wealth. The American dream is crumbling before our very eyes. The Constitution is being ripped to shred before our very eyes. What can we do about it? That's always the next question. What can we do? Well, from a political standpoint, there's not a whole lot anybody can do because the Republicans own the House. The Republicans own the fucking Senate. They own the fucking White House. And it's apparent that the Supreme Court is owned by fucking Trump too. And it probably all comes back to fucking Epstein, right? All of these fucking people are probably on the Epstein fucking list or in the fucking Epstein files. And that's why they don't want them released. And Trump's probably hoarding these fucking files over everybody in Congress, over the people, members of the Supreme Court. Maybe we should stop calling them the fucking Epstein files. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're the fucking Trump files. We don't know. We can't see the files. How do we know that Trump really wasn't the head of that whole operation? Could be. I mean, anything's possible until we see the goddamn Epstein files, isn't it? But maybe those files have a lot to do with why nobody is doing anything to stop Donald Trump. Kind of makes you wonder, though, because Mike Johnson keeps sending all these people on vacation, but he refuses to swear in the Democrat who just won the special election in Arizona because she would be the 218th vote to get the Epstein files released, the full unredacted Epstein files. There's a reason they're not swearing her in, and we all know what that is. But I think what needs to happen for because we know we can't trust anybody right now in the political sphere to come to our aid. Americans have to rescue themselves. And there's a couple tools at our disposal because we know damn well that right now the billionaires are calling the shots. The oligarchs. These people, the CEOs who have all of the fucking money and all of the fucking wealth, they're the ones that have the president's ear. They're the ones that are going along to get along. So we make it hard on them. That's what we do as American citizens. We start by a general strike if we can. Some people, a lot of us have to work. But those of you who can afford not to go to fucking work, well, fucking stop going. This government shutdown in one way may actually be beneficial, as when all of these air traffic controllers and stuff, maybe they're not getting paid. Maybe a lot of them will just stop fucking showing up because they're not getting a paycheck anyway. And I'm not sure if ICE is even being paid right now through this shutdown because they were only funded through the fiscal year of 2025, which ended September 30th. So that's one thing we can do, a general strike. The other thing that we can do, which all Americans can participate in, and there's 300 plus million of us Americans out there, is stop buying shit. If it's not a necessity, stop buying it. Cripple these corporations and these billionaires by not spending your money with them. Don't upgrade your shit. Try not to spend money on stuff that you don't immediately need. Take care of your bills. Make sure you have food in the house. All of those type of things, your normal responsibilities. But otherwise than that, don't go above and beyond with your spending. And maybe a few months sustained of that with enough Americans doing that, it'll put the pressure on these billionaires. It'll put the pressure on these corporations, and they will start plotting against Donald Trump themselves. Because, as the old saying goes, money talks and bullshit walks. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. This is Grim with Get the Rant. Check out Silent Screams, the mini documentary at gettherant.com. If you'd like to support this channel, feel free to leave a tip, buy me a coffee, Every little bit helps to keep us on the air. Hopefully by the end of October, I'll get my monetization back on TikTok. That's still up in the air. Who knows? But freedom of speech is definitely coming under fire. I look forward to talking with you all again soon.